Well, the book was such a success, and I'm very proud, and I get so many messages and letters. I said to my husband that, the language is inappropriate. It's not acceptable. And I was surprised because that is not the man that I know.
Sometimes a simple daytime TV chat spirals into something monumental. And that's exactly what happened here. The hosts of The View were hashing out their opinions when they turned their sights on Melania Trump, floating claims that she despises her husband, loathes her role in the public eye, and possibly never wanted the burden of being First Lady in the first place. For a few moments, it seemed like standard talk show fare. Bold statements, a bit of gossip, and plenty of lively banter. But then, almost out of nowhere, Melania responded with legal fire, a $100 million defamation lawsuit that caught nearly everyone off guard. What's so striking is that, up until now, Melania Trump has been known for her low-key approach to rumors. In the White House, she rarely gave interviews, tended to keep her emotions off camera, and seldom addressed the constant chatter about her personal life. After years of silence in the face of speculation about her marriage, her redecorating choices, and even her take on holiday traditions, it was almost expected that she would just roll her eyes and move on. Instead, she has planted her feet and is demanding accountability for what she views as a barrage of harmful, unfounded statements. At the core of her lawsuit is the concept of defamation, particularly the heightened standard for public figures. In the United States, it's not enough for someone like Melania, who is undeniably in the public spotlight, to simply show that the hosts said something untrue. She has to prove that they did so with actual malice, meaning they either knew what they were saying was false or recklessly disregarded the truth.
No, I didn't have any concerns. We have a great chemistry, and to be with the man as my husband is, you need to know who you are. You need to have a very independent life as well, and supporting him. You need to be very smart and quick and be there for him when he needs you.
Traditionally, it's a difficult bar to clear. Celebrities and politicians lose defamation claims all the time precisely because the courts lean toward protecting free expression. But Melania's legal team appears convinced they can show The View crossed a line by airing multiple allegations that directly target her marriage, her private attitudes, and her personal character. That line, for many, is exactly where this conversation gets complicated. Does the First Amendment protect talk show hosts when they muse about how the former First Lady might really feel about her marriage? Are such statements fair commentary or damaging gossip presented as fact? And at what point should someone, even a famous individual, be allowed to push back with legal force against remarks they consider untrue and malicious? The tension between free speech and defamation laws has always been delicate, and this lawsuit places it front and center in the public arena. For The View, a show built on strong, unfiltered opinions, this is more than just a slap on the wrist. If Melania wins, it might usher in a profound shift. Producers, legal advisors, and hosts may feel compelled to tread more carefully when discussing the private lives of any high-profile person, political or otherwise. The lively debates that have become synonymous with certain talk shows could lose some of their punch if hosts hesitate to voice their harsher opinions for fear of a defamation suit. On the flip side, critics warn of a potential chilling effect.
It's normal that will come up. We are prepared for that. We have a thick skin. And we know that people will judge him and people will call names, and they don't give him enough credit.
If the media starts self-censoring every edgy statement to avoid litigation, open dialogue suffers. Shows like The View could devolve into bland discussions, stripped of the very dynamic that draws viewers. In short, a victorious Melania might embolden more public figures to sue, claiming defamation whenever speculation or commentary touches on their private lives. Whether that's a positive step toward civility or a concerning curb on free speech depends largely on whom you ask. Adding another layer is the timing. Donald Trump remains a lightning rod for controversy, facing investigations, lawsuits, and political dramas of his own, while Melania has typically stayed in the background. Yet here she is, stepping onto the stage in a big way. The lawsuit's timing has sparked theories. Some suggest she wants to redirect some of the media heat from her husband toward a conversation she can control. Others believe she's simply fed up with the ongoing character assaults which in her view have finally gone too far. Then there's the narrative that she's carving out her own identity, especially after making statements around personal freedom that could hint at opinions different from her husband's. The complexity of her motivations only adds more intrigue to an already captivating story. The vast sum, $100 million, is particularly eye-catching. It signals that Melania is not content with a mere on-air apology or quiet retraction.
I feel that. I see the connection with the American people and my husband, and he created a movement, and the crowd and the people that are behind him, it's unbelievable to see.
Does it make you want to get out there yourself and help him out the final 2 weeks?
We will see. My priority is my son, Baron, our son, Baron, and I support him 100%, and I'm there for him every time he needs me.
She appears determined to make an example out of this case, using a mammoth figure as a warning shot to anyone else thinking about leveling intense personal claims against her. Sums like that aren't typically demanded just for show. They can indicate a plaintiff's seriousness and the potentially massive reputational harm they feel they've suffered. It also sets a precedent that could ripple across the entertainment world. If the lawsuit is allowed to proceed and she emerges triumphant, other talk show hosts might wonder if they, too, could be targeted for large sums for a moment of reckless commentary. But will Melania actually prevail? Defamation law remains notoriously tricky, particularly given the protective shield around free speech. Judges also often encourage settlements to avoid protracted courtroom battles, which can become enormous media circuses themselves. If this case settles quietly, it might deflate the big questions before they get a full public hearing in court. Even so, the mere act of filing such a high-stakes suit has sent a signal. Melania is willing to fight if she feels her reputation is under siege. Throughout this, the nature of public scrutiny on political spouses becomes a central theme. The minute someone becomes a first lady or first gentleman, there's an assumption that every part of their life is fair game for public consumption. Yet, we seldom question if there's a boundary that shouldn't be crossed. If the lawsuit ultimately leads to more thoughtful commentary, where personal attacks must at least be substantiated.
I said to my husband that, the language is inappropriate. It's not acceptable. And I was surprised because that is not the man that I know. And as you can see from the tape, the cameras were not on. It was only a mic. And I wonder if they even knew that the mic was on.
It could alter the entire culture of tabloid-like speculation that so often bleeds into mainstream media. Alternatively, if Melania loses, some will see it as an affirmation that robust criticism of political figures, including speculation on their private relationships, is part of the deal when you marry into public office. From a purely legal standpoint, it's also important to realize that defamation isn't just about bruised feelings. Plaintiffs must show that their lives, opportunities, or personal standing have been measurably harmed. Melania's lawsuit contends that the host's words damaged her reputation in ways that carry real-life consequences. That claim could come in the form of lost business deals, tarnished endorsements, or ongoing personal distress made worse by repeated news cycles amplifying the gossip. Whether she can successfully demonstrate that damage remains to be seen. Public reaction, meanwhile, is sharply divided. Supporters of Melania argue that the hosts went too far with personal insults, turning their platform into a rumor mill and crossing moral and legal lines. Critics fire back that the lawsuit is a textbook example of a high-profile individual using their financial and legal clout to silence critics. Conversations on social media show heated debates over whether talk show commentaries should ever be grounds for massive legal claims, and many question if such a case could stifle comedic or satirical takes on politicians and their spouses. For now, though, the biggest question is how the courts will respond. As Melania's legal team advances its arguments, The View's defense likely will rest on their rights to discuss public figures, especially those who once inhabited the White House. They may argue these conversations fall under protected speech or are simply opinions, not statements of fact. Depending on how this unfolds, viewers and media pundits alike will be analyzing each legal maneuver, each evidentiary claim, to see if there is solid ground for a defamation finding, or if it all collapses under the high standards of proof required.
Well, the book was such a success, and I'm very proud, and I get so many messages and letters how they enjoy the book, and they would love, my fans and people would love to hear more from me. So I had an idea to make a movie, to make a film about my life. My life is incredible, it's incredibly busy, and I told my agent, I have this idea, so please, go out and make a deal for me.
In the end, what started as a casual talk show segment could end up shaping the broader media landscape. It forces us to rethink what we consider permissible in a public forum, especially when discussing someone's personal life. Are we comfortable with a climate where casual allegations can be aired without consequence? Or are we worried that imposing heavy penalties could scare off essential discussions, even if those discussions occasionally dip into rumor territory? However this concludes, one thing is beyond doubt: it's a rare and riveting spectacle. We don't often see a former First Lady stepping forward with such a monumental claim. The scale of her demand isn't only about punishing a handful of TV personalities, it's about forcing a bigger conversation on the boundaries of talk shows and the cost of unchecked speculation. Maybe it's a defining moment for responsibility in media. Maybe it's a risky move that could backfire, emboldening critics and diminishing genuine free speech. Perhaps it's both, or perhaps it's something else entirely, a strategic gambit designed to position Melania in a certain light as new chapters unfold in the Trump family saga. One thing's certain, eyes across the nation are watching closely. This isn't just a curiosity for political junkies or fans of daytime TV. It's a case that has the potential to reverberate through journalism, entertainment, and legal frameworks alike. If you've ever wondered where to draw the line between personal respect and outspoken critique, Melania's lawsuit might just force us to decide. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Is it time that talk shows face tighter boundaries when discussing the personal lives of public figures? Or should we keep the conversation as open as possible? Even if it sometimes crosses into uncomfortable territory, feel free to share your opinion. It's exactly these kinds of debates that shape how society interprets free speech and personal rights. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe and stay alert for new developments, because with a case this explosive, surprises and twists are almost guaranteed. Whether Melania Trump emerges victorious or the lawsuit fizzles out, the outcome could recalibrate how we talk about famous figures, and maybe even how they talk back. Until then, keep questioning, keep examining, and keep watching, because one way or another, history might be in the making right before our eyes.